a match worthy of a World Cup semi-final. Two champion sides going hammer and tongs, giving it their all. The final scorecard may not reflect truly how close the match was, but it really had all the ingredients of a memorable game. Records were broken, more than 700 runs scored, legacies were cemented. Some really tense moments that had silenced the Mumbai crowd too briefly, and eventually some hearts were broken too. For Kane Williamson's men, it was another chapter of so near yet so far. For Rohit's men, the ghosts of Manchester were well and truly buried in Mumbai. But more importantly, it is that formidable Indian team that has booked a place in the World Cup final. A team that has looked, played and behaved like the world #1 ODI outfit. Let's speak about the men in blue then. How do you even describe this side? Fearless, aggressive, formidable. As clinical as they've been this entire tournament. Coming into the semis, you'd imagine India's forgettable record in knockouts since 2014 would weigh on the team, but that was not to be. And two men really defied all odds, showing how things are done, showing this new Indian way of utter domination. Virat Kohli and Mohammed Shami. Two champions in the truest sense of the word. Two men who played out of their skins, put up a performance for the ages, and ensured the game didn't get out of India's hands at any point. Of course, not to forget Iyer's blistering century too that propelled India to a very daunting 397. A total of 400 in a semi-final can easily shake the boots of any opposition. But on a day an improbable record is broken, and by Virat, you can be forgiven to talk about this one. And then the sensational Shami with the ball that took India one step closer to the Cup of Dreams. Now, speaking of dreams, the first innings saw something we thought we would never see. 50 ODI hundreds, a half century of hundreds. By that man on your screen, Virat Kohli, a man said to be the greatest batter of his generation. In the context of the game, it was business as usual for Kohli. He came in after a fantastic start by Rohit and Shubman, took his time to settle down, played some outstanding shots, and then just went on to do things that King Kohli is known for: break records effortlessly. He breezed past the 700-run mark this World Cup, the highest ever by any player in a World Cup, eclipsing the likes of Sachin Tendulkar and Rohit Sharma. But it was that one moment, the moment when he scampered across for the second run while batting on 98. Wankhede erupted in joy. Right before that, there was a tense silence that you could sense, and I looked around to see just about everyone at the edge of their seats, eyes fixed on one man. And when that moment came, and Virat leaped in the air and sank to the ground right after, everyone knew this one was special. Virat knew it was special. And the celebration of his 50th ODI 100 said it all. He roared in delight, smiled ear to ear, soaked in the applause and bowed to the man whose record he had just broken. A man who Virat idolizes. The man who Virat carried on his shoulders 12 years back at this very stadium when India lifted that World Cup in 2011, Sachin Tendulkar. He, of course, you could see the elation, how overjoyed the legend himself was, and just how happy he was to see an Indian break his record. Of course, Virat also sent his love across to his wife there, whom he mentioned especially right after the match. Virat had indeed surpassed the legend at Sachin's very own home ground, and that was sinking in. Virat Kohli is the only player to have scored 50 ODI hundreds, a feat that perhaps may be untouched in the years to come because there's more left in the tank. And what better stage to do than this World Cup semi-final?
All this feels like a dream, too good to be true. Feels surreal for me. Anushka was sitting right there. Sachin sir was here too. Difficult to explain this. If I could paint a perfect picture, I would want this to be the picture. My life partner, the person who I love the most, is sitting there. My hero is sitting there, and I was able to get the 50th ODI 100 in front of all of them. And all these stands in Wankhede as well. Such a historic venue. So it was amazing.
But the clinical execution didn't end here. Once India were done with their batting pyrotechnics, it was up to the bowling unit to defend 398. Like we've been saying all this while, this Indian bowling unit is something different. If Bumrah doesn't get you, Siraj will. If Jadeja doesn't, Kuldeep will. But last night was special. The Kiwis came out with a strong intent and didn't want to give anything away. They put the Indian bowlers under the pump. However, just when you began thinking that the game is heading to a tricky territory, in came a man who has been spectacular this entire tournament, Mohammed Shami. Now, before we get into this beautiful performance from last night, let me tell you a little interesting story. If there's one word that describes Shami and how he made his presence into the playing 11, it's serendipity. Picture this. In the 2019 World Cup, Shami wasn't the first choice in the playing 11. An injured Bhuvaneshwar Kumar meant Shami had to be drafted in 4 games into the tournament. He came in and made an impact straight away, taking that famous hat-trick against Afghanistan. Cut to 2023, Hardik Pandya's unfortunate injury against Bangladesh meant India had to rethink their combinations. And given the all-rounder he is, replace him with 2 players. So Thakur and Hardik made way for Surya Kumar Yadav and Mohammed Shami. 2 all-rounders making way for a pure batter and a pure bowler. Almost like a blessing in disguise for Rohit's men. And Shami hasn't looked back ever since. As hungry and determined as ever, he started his World Cup 2023 campaign with a fifer and against the very team that they beat last night. And in fact, yesterday was quite the journey for him. He's brought into the attack in the 5th over by Rohit Sharma and strikes first ball with the wicket of Devon Conway. Then goes on to take down the dangerous Rachin Ravindra. You could see that he is bowling full throttle and is in his rhythm. But then comes a crucial moment in the field. Shami puts down a sitter that would have dismissed Kane Williamson, who was stitching a very key partnership with Daryl Mitchell at the other end. And that got many thinking if he had dropped the game for India. Given how Williamson and Mitchell were batting all along, you could see Shami was gutted too. And let's be honest, such moments always keep replaying in any player's head and could potentially distract you. Not Shami though. In fact, he had the last laugh. He comes back into the attack and breaks the crucial partnership, taking the wicket off, yes, the captain, Kane Williamson. What followed was absolute carnage by Shami, breaking one record after another. In fact, this is what his figures read at the end of the match. 9.5 overs, 7 wickets for 57 runs. Unimaginable in a World Cup semi-final. There's more where that came from. Shami's now got the most fifers in World Cups, overtaking Mitchell Starc. Most wickets by an Indian in a World Cup, bettering Zaheer Khan's record in 2011. Best bowling returns for India in ODI cricket. And he leads the charts for most wickets this World Cup. Clearly, there's no mountain peak that Shami hasn't conquered. And even so, you can bet he will surmount that as well.
I said the word relentless, and I kind of think that's what they are. They just keep coming at you. From the time that Shami has come into the side, he's just lifted. I think he's lifted that attack a little bit more. What's he picked up? A 5, a 4, and a 5, and there's only 3 games to play. So I think he's just complemented that seam bowling attack, to elevate them probably to the best in the tournament so far.
So what really makes Mohammed Shami so deadly? One major point is that he doesn't over-experiment. He doesn't try to do too many things at once. He runs in hard, knows what he wants to do and executes it perfectly. Especially that beautiful seam position that's straight as an arrow, when the ball just either jacks back in or goes away from the batter. And at that pace that Shami bowls in, consistently around the 140 km/h mark, it almost always puts the batter in 2 minds, prompting them to commit the mistake. Remember the game against England in Lucknow, where Shami was all over Ben Stokes. Again, a very dangerous player there. The English all-rounder just couldn't get bat to ball. Shami trusted his line and length, and the ball kept beating Stokes. Then frustration kicked in, and of course resulting in the wicket. And that's really been the hallmark of Mohammed Shami, to wear, tear down and threaten the opposition. Mind you, it hasn't been an easy ride for him in the last few years. In and out of the side, some troubles on the personal front, but to reinvent yourself despite all this, come back fitter and stronger and grab an opportunity with both hands when it comes your way. The story of Mohammed Shami, the champion bowler he is something that'll always be told and retold for years to come. Given the way he's gone about his business in a country that really prides itself on its batters, a country that worships batting legends and has not really had a legacy of tearaway greats or a pace battery. One can recall Kapil Dev, Javagal Srinath, possibly Venkatesh Prasad in combination, and Zaheer Khan. A few and far in between who've left an impact in the game. And come Sunday, when all roads will only lead to Ahmedabad's Narendra Modi Stadium, you'd hope that it's these champions that will step up one more time and take India past that final hurdle. It's the dream of every cricketer, the ultimate glory, Few manage to keep their date with destiny. But for many, it's been heartbreaks and a cross to bear. The Holy Grail is here in India. I'm Rupha Ramani, and Firstpost brings you the ringside view. We bring you the Cup of Dreams. Cricket World Cup coverage like never before.